All right. Hello. Zero here again. Um, so, I have been working on this freaking all day since the last video because of all the changes that I had to make. Ugh, it's ridiculous. Okay, so, um, remember the issue was that I had like everything was like done with redstone dust and the time just to go around was so freaking long, and I thought that it'd be a good idea to just change everything and make it run off of just redstone blocks. Well, yeah, because I did that, um, I had to redo all of the addressing because before these were looking for. Let's actually look at this one. They were looking for the lit redstone lamps, but now since I'm sending redstone blocks down there instead, um, so now it's got to look for redstone blocks, which means that I had to go through and change all of these. And when you have this many, and like you did all this through cloning, it is so much easier to just delete everything and just reclone it all over again. So that's what I did. And then also, if you haven't noticed, yeah, the beard and the mustache were itching like crazy. So for all of you guys out there who actually can grow a beard, dude, my hat's off to you. I cannot get past the hair being like this long. Ugh. Anyways, okay, so these lines. See how this is the what is this block? The granite block, the polished granite. So this entire line right here will actually change into a redstone block, and then it'll change back. And then along with these quartz ones, these will all turn into redstone blocks and then back. Okay, and then because of things, I had to redo this too. So now this is a mirror image of what it is over here. Kind of cool. And then as far as like when you send redstone in one direction, you have to like do command blocks like to make it go another direction. Well, this is that. So this is once again two command blocks, one inverted off of the other. And then all I'm doing is I am filling in this line here up to underneath this redstone right here. So that way when this becomes the redstone blocks, this activates, which then activates this, which then does that whole thing. And then these control this line right here, going up to here, and then it's just the same thing all over the place. So, quick tour around the place. So this is the new addressing register. Now, I could have done this using only one command block, but because I want to try to keep this as similar to the way a real processor would work as possible, yeah, I decided to just keep each of these separate for each line instead of doing just one command block for everything. So yeah. All right. All of these blocks here are controlled elsewhere, actually up there. So we will go up there in a second. And then we still have the 64 bytes of memory right now. Luckily, I didn't have to change any of the actual memory, so that made things a lot easier. And then this is just kind of like a little spiral going down, and then it goes out onto this line here. If I could use redstone without having to use repeaters, I mean, like, yeah, to put them there just to like refresh it or whatever is fine, but I wanted to make sure that I'm not putting any unneeded delays in here. So, it looks like behind me. Ow! That's what that is. Yeah, I went to Burger King, so. Like, what the hell is that? Okay, so it's gone now. All right. Okay, so now these redstone here will go over here, power these guys here, which then powers this entire, or changes the entire line to redstone blocks. Then it comes down onto this one here, and then this one powers this entire line, even under here. The cool thing about doing redstone blocks versus like redstone dust is you can stack the shit right on top of each other. You don't need like the extra space, because this isn't going to pick up any power from either side, because the redstone block, it doesn't like link up, I guess. So, I mean, that, see how like links up right there? Yeah, redstone blocks don't do that, so that makes this like a lot easier. All right, and then these are also registers. These are going to be under direct control of the control unit of the processor once I get that all going. Right now it's just the makeshift one that I have up there. So I have an X, a Y, and a Z register. And then if we zoom out a little bit, all right, so what this is doing is it's pulling off of, this is the first bit, the second bit, third bit, fourth bit, etc. So it's pulling off of each of these, loading it into the register, right? Now this register, because it doesn't have to do any propagation, it's just read and write only. It only needed 2 command blocks, not including these ones, per line. So that was pretty cool. And I changed it so that way you see these quartz blocks up here. These will all change to redstone blocks, and that's how I power each of these. So I'm treating this register as one unit, so then these command blocks up here are what control the quartz blocks, changing it to redstone block and then back again. So that's that. And then this one actually took me a little bit longer to figure out, but like pulling something off of redstone blocks is real easy, but how do you put something back on, right? So, I mean, pulling it off, you just put redstone because it picks up the redstone block signal or the power, whatever, just powers the whole line, and then you're golden. But when you're going back this way, it's like, well, you can't change a block from something that's not a redstone block to a redstone block just by attaching, you know, some redstone dust to it. So I had to get creative. Now this is, once again, the same thing as everywhere else. This just controls this entire line. It's just that this right here will now control this from this side, and if anything comes from behind here, it will also activate this. So this group here and pretty much all of these are activated from 2 directions. And then that's how I get these to turn on going this way or to turn on coming from back here. So this way you get propagation. So like if you have, I think this is your 8th bit. So if this goes through, then once it hits this, it'll still propagate all the way through, which is what you want. And then if this is off and then this one happens to turn on, then this will go through propagate, and then it'll activate this one from back here and then propagate, and then more propagation, and it's just all kinds of propagation all over the place. Okay, so that's pretty much how these are built. I took the bus, which is once again the blue, and I kind of bent it around the registers. And the reason why I did that is that way there's very, very little lag or latency in between taking the data off, putting into the register, and then reading it off of the register again. So, like as you can see, there's just the one repeater for each of these, and there's no repeaters over here. I mean, until you get, no, there isn't even any repeaters down here. So there is a repeater here to get the signal from the redstone block that will go here once you read this, and if it has something in there. So this changes the redstone block to an actual signal, and I probably could just change these to redstone dust, but I'm not sure what the distance is like over here. I mean, it might still work. I think I've got 4, 8, 12. Yeah, I could probably do that. So that's a way to kind of increase the speed a little bit. I'll think about it. We'll see. Because I mean, right now it's got like what, 2 ticks delay. That's nothing. All right. So we still have the same issue. If you're sending a signal through, it goes through real fast, but when it's like when you're trying to turn the signal off, it goes really slow. And I think the reason for that, and I could be quite wrong here. This repeater here is what controls this command block, which then, you know, gets propagation going that way. But behind this is a torch, right? And I think like the time to turn off a torch is longer than it is to turn it on. And so then since you're going through this and you have to turn off all of these torches, and there's like 16 of them, I think that is kind of what is causing the delay. Once again, it's just a guess, educated guess. But yeah, Okay, so we have our RAM, we have our addressing, then we have our actual address lines. We have the bus wrapping all the way around, going through the memory, or through the RAM, I should say, coming out, and then going around each of the registers here. Registers labeled XYZ. And then we also have the addressing register over there. Okay, so now we're going to go up here and kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so I picked this location because you can kind of see everything pretty well. Yeah, so might as well just go through a function check. Okay, so we are going to go and to this memory location. Okay, so this is memory location 1. Now right now it just sends the data through because I haven't told it to do anything yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this one and I'm going to save it to the address register. So I'm just going to write that in there, and then what you're going to see is that this line up here now turns on. So that's got our address currently loaded. It's on all 4 levels, so it's just that one line. And then so right now it's 1 in and then all the way on the bottom. That one is good to go. All it's waiting for is just like a command to tell it what to do. Alright, so now we're going to turn this off, and you can kind of see how long it takes. You can see it going through the RAM right now. And then once it gets through, then it's really fast. Like once it gets through the RAM, but going through and coming out of the RAM is what kind of slows everything down. Okay, but now you notice that this is still stored in there, right? So now we're going to take and load up a pattern, or a code, or just some binary shit that we're going to put in here. And then you can kind of see how quickly it goes all the way through all of this. Now you can imagine if I was using redstone dust still and repeaters that this would have taken a lot longer. Now I do have this little section over here with the redstone dust. I could change that to the command blocks with redstone blocks, but I don't know. I might not. Okay, so now we still have this memory location loaded up, which is thanks to the address register here. And now our data going into the RAM currently is 10101010, right? Okay, so now we want to write it to the memory location that we've currently got loaded, right? Okay, so now we're going to go to the address and we're going to set it or write it. And then that is going to load everything in. Okay, so now it is currently stored in that one data place there. Now we're going to turn off all of our data. So now we have nothing coming on the lines from over here, which is the origin. Okay, now this is very important. I actually made a mistake. Do not reset this, because if you're telling it to read off of that location, it still needs to know where you're addressing. So don't reset that. So now we're going to read or enable. Now we're still loading that memory location up. So we're going to read, and then what we're going to see is the pattern comes out of RAM and continues through the bus. So we've got our 10101010. All right. So now, I think we can turn off the addressing now. Well, actually, yeah, we'll just keep this pattern in there for now. So we're going to overwrite the addressing, so that'll turn that off because we loaded up zeros into the addressing. So now this is looking at the very first memory location. And we're just kind of messing around right now, so it doesn't really matter too much. All right, so we still have this thing loaded, and it's still on the bus. Now, something that I noticed that I haven't quite figured out yet is there's no way to get that off of the bus. Because right now, I mean, if you try to send zeros through because I mean, right now it is being sent through here, but because the memory is set up to propagate off of whatever memory location has, whatever, then the only way to kind of reset that is to overwrite the memory in that location. So I did kind of a makeshift solution. Now remember that propagation, the way I have it set up in the individual memory cells, is if you have a signal going through, it'll propagate, and then as that signal turns off, it'll then turn off all the propagation through as well. So I made up this little button here, and this is called flush the bus. So we're going to do this, and this just loads up all ones, all zeros, and it just loads up everything, and then it turns off everything. So then that's how you clear the bus. It's relatively fast. This is actually in real time, so you're seeing it as everything is going. There's no speeding up or anything like that in the video. So I mean, you can tell that it's going pretty fast. All right, so now we still have that one location stored with data. So now what we want to do is we're going to load up that again from that location, and then we're going to store it into the Y register, okay? So we need to pull up that location, which was right here. We need to write it to the address, okay? Now it's written to the address. Now we can turn this off. All right, and then that should clear this off of the bus. All right, now we're going to read, because we're still set to that memory. So now we're going to read from it, and then you'll see that it'll shoot out over here. So then we get our pattern again. Now we're going to load it into the Y. So we've got the Y register set and enable, so we want to set. Now that'll take this and store it into there. Now we're going to flush the bus again, and then that'll clear out the bus. Okay, bus is cleared. Now we still have that stored. You can kind of see the redstone blocks in there. Now we're going to read off of that register. And now, as you can see, it takes that pattern, which is now in the Y register, and it loads it back onto the bus. Now, eventually this is going to be like one whole circuit type thing, but because this is one way, and because if you have a loop of redstone, it'll just keep spinning around and around and around and around and around. It's the same way that our timer clocks work. So I have to get a little creative in order to keep that from happening, so that way I can actually shut it off when I want to. My guess is it'll involve pistons or something. Just something to move a block out of the way so it doesn't propagate through. Alright, so now we're going to flush the bus again. Actually, no, we can't flush the bus because it's still reading right now. So I think even if I did flush the bus, I don't know if it would do anything. I haven't actually tested that one. I don't think it'll do anything. I think those will still stay there. Yeah, they still stay there. Okay, so then I'm going to have to think about that a little bit. Right now what we're going to do is we're just going to overwrite the Y register. So now we've got 0 in there, and then we're going to read from it again, and then that clears it out. But that kind of makes the registers of limited use, I think. So I'm going to have to find a way to figure out how to turn off the read. Okay. Another project. All right. So we still have that loaded into the addressing, so we'll just overwrite that as well. Now we still have that pattern in this one. Yeah, that pattern, right? As soon as it wants to show up. What's going on? Oh, hang on. Yeah, because nothing is addressed. Duh. Okay, so going over here. Going over here. Okay, now we can turn that off. Now we can read. Okay. Now we should have the pattern. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to overwrite that pattern. Right now we've got our data showing up as a 0. We still have this addressed. So now we're going to write, and then that should overwrite that. And now when we read from that address, this pattern on the bus should go away. Et voila. All right, it works. Okay, so that was kind of a quick and dirty tour of what I've been working on so far today. There's still a lot of work to do. I haven't even touched the ALU yet. That's going to be interesting. And then also, apart from this as a control unit, I want to make an actual control unit where it'll actually follow instructions and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think I've got a good start so far. If you have liked this, if you like the video, please give it a like. If you want to watch these as they come out and be notified, give me a subscribe. And then I will keep on working on this. Actually, I'm going to rewrite that because that's bothering me. There we go. And it's gone. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you want to see any of the commands that I've got in there, I mean, most of these are very, very simple commands. Just kind of let me know in the comments below. And, yeah. I think that will be a good place to stop for this one. All right. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.